Hey there, fellow water hustlers. Jeremy Wright here with the Arkansas Planet Aquarium Club. I'm taking a look at my smallest aquarium, just hand for reference. This is about a gallon. I just removed a lot, actually even harvested some pretty good, useful plants out of it. Nice hornwort, really nice hornwort specimen. Some decent looking red root floaters and some guppy grass that I'm probably just gonna trash. I've got lots of guppy grass growing around here, but the red roots were, fairly nice. Better looking than some of my outside ones, actually. So this little tank was just getting hard to see through. It was totally occluded with plant matter, and I couldn't find any of my baby scrimps. So there's one, there's an adult. So the baby's hanging out. Well, there we go. It's moving. You can see it. Quite a few of them in here. Always hard to find, just because that's two of them. One more. Always hard to find the babies in here. Much easier to find the adults. But I've only seen 2 adults in here today, so I might be down to 2 adults. I only had 3 in here, but oh, there we go. Some seed shrimp. I don't know if you could see that kind of top left. Maybe, actually, no, that might have been yeah, I think it's a seed shrimp. I'm having to use my eyes rather than the camera, but anyway, this little tank needed some maintenance, and it's much easier to see in, much easier to find the scrimpies, much easier to enjoy, and yeah, I'm liking it. So I'm thinking about adding a couple of other small plants. I'm just not quite sure what to bring over here. Thought about putting some Saswassertang in here. That would be pretty easy. I actually just added a little bit of feather moss. Let's see if I can get a look at that. It's gonna be around this corner. So yeah, Shrimpy's already enjoying that. Nice little feather moss patch that came from a friend of mine who works at a local herbarium, an aquatic herbarium. And yeah, just cool stuff. Nothing, that might be the rarest plant in here. There's just, some interesting little shrimpy stuff going on, and other invertebrates that just came from outside long ago. So we see that's definitely a seed shrimp, by the way it's swimming. The other one that was up in the top left corner a moment ago, not really sure what that was. It was swimming too gracefully, really, to be a seed shrimp. Oh, check that out. A little wormy up on the top. You see that? Kind of top center, 12 o'clock. So I just uprooted a little bit of guppy grass. Maybe it came up with that. So with no fish in here, those little things are free to proliferate, grow, and survive. So invertebrate tanks always have a lot of small diversity that you normally don't see in aquariums with fish. Not that they're not there, you just don't see them. If they come up above the substrate line, they get devoured. For the most part, that stuff's pretty interesting. It's enjoyable. I don't know what the wormy's gonna end up doing, but rock on in there, do your thing. So bottom of this tank's just sand, just pool filter sand. It's always kind of interesting to look at the surface, just right there at the surface, and see what happens. But larger aquariums, even if they have fish, if they're kind of built around nature, like starting with some natural substrate, maybe some soil, maybe I think this is actually, I may have misspoken. This looks like crushed coral rather than pool filter sand. I believe it is. And even though there are Neocaridina shrimp in here, pH has always been kind of high in this tank. Like, higher than I would have thought is cool. But the shrimp do fine, the invertebrates do fine. That just is what it is. The plants grow fine. Oh, there's a nice egg. Oh, where did it go? Somewhere right in here. There it is. Juvenile shrimp that's a little bigger than the others. Starting to color up. I mean, granted, it's still a tiny little shrimp, right? Tiny little shrimps. But things are going well. Just noticed there are a few snails in here. That looks like a ram's horn. Yeah, Endopleonorbis. And I don't really like that. They ram's horns can potentially carry tapeworms that can infect other animals, fish mainly. But here are two little guys kind of playing over here. That was kind of cute. They were right on top of each other a second ago. 3 of them now. Cool. So, I mean, sorry, we're at a pretty good zoom right now, and I'm kind of crouched over, so the stillness of the camera, not happening, right? Not happening. But there was a little bit of Physidens moss. That's center screen. So I just kind of picked that apart and pulled those few little bits of Physidens out of some algae. And hopefully, I mean, they've been growing in here. That's usually known as Phoenix moss. And I had, years ago, sorry, moving, zooming out so we don't have that effect again. So years ago, I had Physidens moss growing in the bottom of a 55-gallon tank, kind of a Central American, North American tank. Physidens fontanus is a North American moss, and I'm just going to zoom again to show you the moss itself. So that little bit of moss that baby shrimp is playing with, that's Physidens fontanus. To my knowledge, that might be all the Physidens that I have here. I'll have to check some other tanks, but I saw it in a little cluster of algae, and I was like, oh no, I need to save that. So, you know, I put it back in there, and hopefully it will do its thing. I'm kind of noticing the water's a little bit cloudy. I might do a partial water change in here today. And I'll probably go around and, you know what, I'll just pull some water out of another tank so I don't have to worry about much in the way of chemistry. And then generally what I do is take an air tube, like an airline tube, and just siphon it down into this tank from my new batch of water using, oh, it's a pretty little shrimp. Let's see. That little baby's just starting to get a little color. That might be the larger one that we saw a moment ago. And then in behind it, back there, up. No focus? No, it's just trying to focus on the guppy grass. There we go. Got some smaller ones hanging that haven't colored up yet. But yeah, Neo shrimp are cool. Neocaridina shrimp are cool. And I think these oranges are probably my favorite of them. It's just, you know, personal preference stuff. But yeah, I should probably get back to taking care of my plants that I just pulled out of this tank. I don't want them to dry out. Nice hornwort specimen, right? It's probably almost 2 feet long. It might be 2 feet long, but yeah, this tank just has a little bitty light in it, and it's partially failed. So you can see how some of the lights are not lit in there. Anyway, kind of what I'm thinking is I'll put some of these plants away, probably just chunk the guppy grass, and maybe set those red root floaters in another vessel or something until, oh, found another one. What is this? Banana petite? Anubias. That one, I don't know. I don't know where that one's gonna go. Might put that in a little Asian tank. So, yeah, I think what I'm gonna do with this tank when I finish yapping is just drain, siphon off, maybe half the water and grab some tank water from another system and slowly siphon it down into here. And that'll just kind of be it for the day. But that water's a little bit cloudy, and you know what? Actually, that cloudiness is probably going to help, because this is an invertebrate tank and there are lots of little things that I don't feed. That is the bottom of the food web, the base of the food web, that cloudiness. And if I were to go outside and maybe get some Daphnia or some more seed shrimp from another outside system and put them down into here, that would probably just benefit even more. Oh, cool. I'm seeing some little orange glowy eyes on this guy just from so the angle changed. Anyway, its eyes were kind of reflecting kind of a nice little orange. But yeah, so backing up on that plan, I'm not going to change the water in here. Everything seems fine. I might top it off with some outside water just to add a little bit more biodiversity. It's not going to hurt. When we add outside stuff, it doesn't introduce diseases, especially if you have a nice established tank with lots of biodiversity to begin with. That biodiversity comes from outside in my tanks, and that is what prevents diseases. If you've got 800 species of microbiology and a dozen or a half dozen microinvertebrates, they're ravaging any disease type organisms that might enter your tank. They're going to eat them. So that is one of the major benefits of biodiversity. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you found it useful. If you like this kind of stuff, feel free to drop a like, comment, subscribe. Lots of other aquarium videos here. Catch you later.